Welcome to the I Can Do Anything podcast. My name is Colin, and today on the I Can Do Anything podcast, I'll be talking about Game 2 and Game 3 of the NBA Finals between the Warriors and the Raptors, because I can do anything. But first, the I Can Do Anything podcast is brought to you by Glitch Fix. Are you frustrated with your network connection? Does your online gaming suffer due to glitches and lag? If so, Glitch Fix can solve your problem. Glitch Fix is a wireless router add-on that can be purchased anywhere you buy electronics. Simply plug it into one of the Ethernet cable outlets on your wireless router and see your internet speed rapidly increase. No more glitches during streaming of your favorite movies, shows, and videos. No more getting kicked out of your games on mobile devices and/or video game consoles. And enjoy high-quality connection while chatting with friends and loved ones during video chats. Buy Glitch Fix today. Listeners of the I Can Do Anything podcast can go to glitchfix.com/anything and get 15% off. That's glitchfix.com/anything for 15% off store-wide or website-wide. Okay, so Dob and I last talked the day before Game 2 of the NBA playoffs. That game was won by the Warriors on the road to even the series 1-1. I think the biggest overall takeaway from this game was DeMarcus Cousins playing as well as he did. DeMarcus Cousins played 27 minutes due to the injury late from Klay Thompson and then the injury to Kevon Looney, who only played 10 minutes, and those 10 minutes where I think he got injured middle of the second quarter, maybe something like that. Due to those, just the absence of those guys, Cousins played a lot more than Steve Kerr probably would have thought, wished, hoped, all of the above, basically. But he played well. He didn't shoot the ball well, shot 37% from the field in 27 minutes, had 11 points, was 1 of 3 from 3, 4 for 4 from the free throw line, but had 10 rebounds. The biggest stat here is that he had 6 assists. He passed the ball really well. Passing the ball as a big man to Klay and Steph coming, like, there's just the floor is so wide open. It certainly makes passing lane. I'm not trying to discredit the game that he had, but it certainly makes passing lanes more wide open. But he gave them a lot that didn't really show up in the stat sheet in Game 2. So the Warriors won 109-104. Draymond had a near triple-double. He had 17 points on 50% shooting, 6 of 12, was 0 of 2 from 3. He has, for the most part, not turned down a ton. They're just letting Draymond shoot 3, and as they should. If you're going to give up something, I'll take Draymond shooting 3s, because I think he just needs to shoot it. If he's open and if it's in the flow of the offense, he's got to just let it fly, because let's say he makes, just shoot like 30% from 3. I don't know. I'm horrible at math. So I can't give you an example where he would get to 30% and not shoot a ridiculous amount. Like, he shouldn't take more than 5. So whatever as close as you can get to 30%. If he's 2 of 5 from 3, that's fine. I'm cool with that. I think he's got to take it to keep the defense honest. He also had 10 rebounds, 9 assists. 5 turnovers is too many. Still just a little below average assist to turnover ratio. 2 steals, 4 fouls, 1 block. Iguodala was pretty damn good and hit that game winning or the game sealing. I don't remember if it was game winning or game sealing shot. I think there was a lot of talk about the Raptors' fourth quarter defense on Steph Curry, and I do want to touch on that a little bit. Kawhi Leonard had 34 points on the other side of the ball. 8 of 20 from the field for him, 40%. 2 of 9, 22% from 3 is pretty horrible. But he did make 16 of 16, was 100% from the free throw line. 16 of 16 at the free throw line is really, really damn good. 14 rebounds, 3 assists, 5 turnovers is far too many turnovers. 1 steal, 1 block. A really good night for Kawhi Leonard. Pascal Siakam, as predicted by most, didn't have nearly the game that he did in game 1. Had 12 points on 27% shooting, 0 of 3 from 3, 50%, 2 of 4 from the free throw line. Did contribute with 8 rebounds and 5 assists, no turnovers. That's great. Marc Gasol also wasn't nearly as good as he was in game 1. Finished with 6 points, 28% shooting, 0 of 2 from 3. Kyle Lowry was pretty average, 13 points, 36.4% from the field. 3 of 7 from 3, 42%. It's probably a little below his season average from the field from 3. Van Vliet was their second leading scorer off the bench, had 17. He continues to play really well. Was 41% from the field, 7 of 17, 2 of 8 from 3. Serge Ibaka 7, Norm Powell 7 off the bench. It's interesting that OG Anunoby played such a big role. I feel like he got hurt, and that's why his minutes dropped off. And now that he's in, it would be hard to just throw him in there, especially coming off an injury. But he's listed in the roster on this box score, which tells me that he's active. But it's interesting that he just doesn't play anymore. Now the injury, if my memory serves me correct, an injury would obviously have a lot to do with that. But so the Raptors ran a box and 1 on Steph Curry. After the game, Steph was asked about it and called it a janky defense. And then there's just been, from what I've seen, a good amount of talk about whether or not it's janky, and people were calling it like, I think DeMarcus Cousins called it a high school or AAU type of defense. I don't get why you can't run specialized, like why is it was a good coaching move. It like kind of worked for a little while. The box and 1 was the reason, or a big part of the reason, why Iguodala ended up taking that game-winning shot instead of Steph. Say what you want about Iguodala's clutch gene or whatever you want to call it. He's certainly made some damn big shots in his career. A great career, a Hall of Famer for sure. But I'd rather have Steph take that shot, and that box and 1 had a lot to do with why Steph didn't take that shot at the end of the game. And I don't know. I don't understand criticizing a unique or specialized defense for one of the most unique and specialized players that the NBA has ever seen. I don't understand why you can run a defense in high school and in AAU, and it's just like, it's not normal. Running a box and 1, it doesn't happen very often. It happens against a great player that you want to take out of the game. I don't understand why it's like faux pas to do that in an NBA game. I know that there's a lot of NBA rules that have tried to eliminate things like that. You know, the defensive 3-second tried to eliminate the zone, and zones are ran very infrequently, and they're often a 3-2 zone. That way you don't have rather than running a 2-3 zone defense where there's 2 guys at the elbow and then 3 guys along the baseline, which leaves one of them right under the basket, which is essentially what the Atlanta Hawks and basically any team that Dikembe Mutombo played for, and a lot of these, like Olajuwon, a lot of these guys back in the day would just stand under the basket and nobody would be able to get there because they just pretty much never moved. And a lot of the centers back in that day couldn't really shoot, so they could do that. They could just not guard anybody in particular and just kind of guard the hoop. In an effort of, making more highlight plays and, better finishes at the basket and things like that, the NBA put in a defensive 3-second call so you couldn't stand there. So the 3-2 zone, there's a guy at the top of the key, 2 guys on the wings, and then 2 guys essentially on the block. So you can still run a 3-2 zone a little bit, and sometimes they'll run kind of almost like a matchup zone where I've been on many teams that have run matchup zones, and I understand the difference, but like in reality, there's really not a difference. I don't really know how to even explain that, because in both scenarios, you're guarding an area and you don't follow a player around. A man defense is where you have a player that you follow around and guard. In a zone defense, you guard a zone. And in most matchup zones, you have an area that you're guarding, and I don't know. A matchup zone really is I don't know. In effort of not saying that makes me feel like I like almost like uneducated and just like a novice when it comes to basketball. Somebody that's randomly listening to this that has no idea of my history with basketball and who I am would just like, of course there's a fucking difference between a matchup zone and a matchup zone and a zone. I don't really see it. I don't really see the difference. And I don't remember the last time I ran a matchup zone. The last time I ran a matchup zone was in AAU basketball, the summer between my junior and senior year of high school, which was quite a while ago, which is like over almost 10 years ago, 8 to 9 years ago. So I don't remember the ins and outs of a matchup zone, and I don't get why can't Nick Nurse run a matchup zone? Or he didn't run a matchup zone, a box and one on the greatest shooter ever and one of the best point guards ever. I don't get the criticism. It's mainly coming from the Warriors, who realize like, oh, if we don't have Durant, and now certainly if Klay continues to be injured, which he was in Game 3, which I'm going to get to here shortly, are the Warriors worried that maybe the Raptors are going to be able to guard them if they run a matchup zone? Now in Game 3, as far as I remember, they didn't run any matchup zone. It wasn't very close in the fourth quarter of Game 3, but I just don't understand anybody in the media or any kind of like anybody other than a Warriors fan or someone who works in the organization or a player. Like what is wrong with Nick Nurse? That's a great coaching move. It's random. They only ran it for like 5 to 7, 8 minutes, something like that. I can't even remember if they finished the game out running it, but it worked for a little while. It worked after the Warriors went on a historic 20-0 run between the very end of the second quarter and a good chunk of the third quarter. Like that was one of the more patented Warriors avalanches. I don't remember where the score was going into halftime. I don't remember like if the Warriors were up or by how much, or if the Raptors were up or by how much, but it worked to stop a historic Warriors third quarter avalanche. Klay getting hurt was significant, although on the latest around the NBA, on the homepage of NBA.com, there is a story that Klay Thompson receives good news. Steve Kerr says Thompson is expected to play in Game 4. Well, that's going to be huge. I think that they really missed him in Game 3, which, again, I'm going to get to. So, yeah, if Klay can go and if Klay's good, Game 4 will, I think that I can't really, it's hard to talk about Game 4 without talking about Game 3. But in order for me to talk about Game 3, I must tell you that this portion of the I Can Do Anything podcast is brought to you by Beat Freak. When it comes to making beats, you don't need a sophisticated beat-making software. You don't even need instruments. With powerful technology that has an array of instruments to choose from, you never have to use a tinny-sounding snare snippet or a dull guitar riff again. The latest in synthesizer and electronic production components comes at an affordable price with Beat Freak. Visit beatfreak.com/anything. That's BEATFREAK.com/anything. I'm not going to tell you how to spell anything. for your limited time offer at amazing professional quality sounding instruments at your fingertips. Don't be a freak. Get Beat Freak. And also by my good friends over at Ludus. Selling tickets should be easy so you can focus on what truly matters, your production. The I Can Do Anything podcast is powered by Ludus, built from the ground up for a high school theater director. Ludus is simple and free online ticket sales for K through 12 schools with a customized ticketing portfolio. Ludus offers great customization features. Choose your own unique domain, pick custom colors to match your organization, and even build a meaningful splash page with the drag and drop editor. Take control of your ticket sales with the advanced control panel tools. Add shows and showtimes. Search for tickets, find patron data in seconds, create multiple admin users, and issue exchanges and refunds at the click of a button. One of the best features Ludus has to offer is the ability to generate detailed reports, view revenue data broken down day by day, manipulate your data to answer questions about your sales, and export your data for future use. Ludus also offers powerful reserved seating. Easily let your patrons choose their own seats for your reserved seating shows. Upload your seating chart using the drag and drop maker. Add sections, rows, tables. Choose premium seating, and general admission shows are possible too. Keep track of student sales by simply adding student ledgers. Each student receives a Ludus account and a special sales code that can be applied to any order. When patrons purchase their tickets, they have the ability to print their tickets at home, have them digitally sent to their email for use on mobile devices, or mark them to be picked up at will call. With Ludus customer service as a breeze, oftentimes it's nice to talk to a real person who understands what your job consists of. Ludus offers real-time support through their chat widget, step-by-step guides, videos, and an 888 phone number. Ludus has sold over 400,000 tickets this year. Visit ludus.com and start selling tickets today with Ludus's forever 100% free guarantee to your program. That's ludus.com. I have a quick little anecdote. I'm going to give Ludus just a little extra airtime. The customer service is a breeze part, is like a real fucking thing. Most places you even if they have a chat widget or someone to call, or it's just you're talking to somebody who has been trained to say stuff, and they don't really have like a great idea of the product or the service or like whatever it is. When you call Ludus or when you chat with Ludus, you're talking to the person that created the website, that created the design and the idea, or you're talking to the former high school theater director who is a fucking theater god, has won ungotten, I don't even know how many, like 25 state titles, and just knows all the ins and outs on every component of theater, from ticketing to, I'm not even going to start listing stuff. Call Ludus if you have any problems. Go check out ludus.com. So game 3 of the NBA playoffs last night, it was an interesting game. I couldn't really get like a good feel for it. You know, it was kind of like back and forth, but not back and forth. I fell asleep during the fourth quarter and didn't rewatch it because the score was 123-109. So I feel like I didn't miss a whole lot in the fourth quarter. Kawhi Leonard had 30 on 52% shooting, 9 of 17. See, that's a quiet 30. I had no idea he was even close to 30. Wow. The Raptors had all 5 and even their 6th man in double figures. 30 for Leonard, 18 for Siakam, 17 for Gasol, Danny Green 18. Kyle Lowry played probably his best playoff game of his career with 23 points on 8 of 16 shooting, 50% from the field, 5 of 9 from 3. Had some big buckets in just key moments. I think I fell asleep like around the 8-minute mark, but for some reason I feel like you know how you just kind of like you're in and out of sleep, and like I feel like I saw a 5 in the fourth quarter, 5 something. But regardless, Kyrie played really well, or Kyle Lowry played really well. This is a guy that I knock pretty often, so I want to give him credit when it's due. 9 assists, 3 turnovers, 1 steal. It's great. He was plus 14. Kyle Lowry's best playoff game of his career, like probably without question. He's had more points in a game before. I want to say it was like I think it was game 1 of the Eastern Conference Finals against the Bucks. He had 30 something, but that was in a loss. Yeah, I don't think he had nearly as many assists with 9 assists. So just Kyle Lowry's, and especially in a big moment, a game that put them up 2-1 in the NBA playoffs, a place that the Raptors have never been. So congratulations to fucking Kyle Lowry. But so I gave him his props, and now I'm going to bash him a little bit. On one hand, with this whole going into the stands thing and getting, people are saying he got pushed, shoved. I'm not even going to call it either of those things. Kyle Lowry, you're an NBA basketball player, and while I agree with a lot of people that you can't set the precedent, like regardless of how little of a fucking shove it was, like a little tiny little like get out of here type of deal. You know, like it really was, it was nothing. Kyle Lowry, why are you complaining? I understand why he's complaining. I should take that back. I understand why he's complaining, because you can't set a precedent for that kind of just any sort of retaliation from the fans. Like I heard Stephen A saying that guy wouldn't do that if it was Stephen A and Steven Jackson on First Take. That guy wouldn't do that if he saw Kyle Lowry anywhere else. In the NBA, just the environment, like these fans feel like they can just do and say whatever. So you can't set the precedent, and that's why Kyle Lowry is complaining about it the way he is, or did. I think it was I woke up actually during his little post-game conversation with who I think it was Scott Van Pelt on SportsCenter. Yeah, it was. I don't know if that's when he complained about it. I assume that's when he either that or in the post-game interview on court with whomever. I think it was Doris Burke last night. So I do understand why he's complaining about it, but at the same time, it's like, dude, come on. He barely, like, really? That shit ain't nothing. Unless he said something. If he said something racial, some sort of slur, then fine. I get it. Totally. He's got but if it's just because of a little shove, and it did look like he said something, but if it's just because of just a little fucking, get out of here. You know, it was nothing. Kyle, it was nothing. But you gotta, and the Warriors, there was just a report that the Warriors fined this guy and banned him for like a year. And apparently it was like a part owner, which is funny as fuck. The NBA and Golden State Warriors announced today that Warriors investor Mark Stevens has been banned from attending NBA games and Warriors team activities for 1 year, and has been fined $500,000. And if he's an investor in the Warriors, $500,000 ain't shit to him. I mean, it's still a lot of money, but has been fined $500,000 for pushing and directing obscene language towards the Toronto Raptors' Kyle Lowry during Game 3. The incident occurred with 10:37 remaining in the fourth quarter. Okay, so I did see some of the fourth quarter. Hey, look at that. I really did see some of the fourth quarter. Yeah. They probably got to do that, and just as a public relations thing. It's funny that was an investor. If it was just a fan, if it was just like some rich fuck, and it is some rich fuck if he's investing in the Warriors, but like, if it wasn't an investor associated with the Warriors, if it was an investor in Microsoft and he was just hanging out at the game and he's rich as fuck and he had started his own company and all, whatever it is, I don't know. Do you think the NBA fines him? And they probably don't fine him, and he probably just gets. That's the difference. Is because he's an investor in the Warriors, they ban him for a year from all NBA games and from Warriors team activities. If it was a regular fan, he wouldn't have got fined, because I don't know if they can do that. and he would have just been banned from NBA games for life, probably, or at least from Warriors games for life. So that's my take on the Kyle Lowry push fucking deal or whatever. I didn't even want to. Well, I did want to talk about it, but I don't fucking. Who gives a fuck? Move on, Kyle Lowry. Just move on. And they won, so I'm sure he will just move on. Then on the Warriors side of the ball, however, without Klay Thompson, without Durant, Curry was Curry. 43 minutes, 47 points, 14 of 31 from the field, 45%, 6 of 14, 42% from three. It's slightly below his 3-point average. 13 of 14, 92.9% from the free throw line, 8 rebounds, 7 assists, 2 steals, 3 turnovers. I mean, a hell of a fucking game for Curry, but got no help. DeMarcus Cousins was not nearly as impactful. He only had 4 points on 1 of 7 shooting, 14% from the field, 2 of 3 from the free throw line, only 3 rebounds, 2 assists, 3 turnovers. I mean, just didn't get enough help. Draymond had 17, shot 42.9% from the field, 6 of 14, was 2 of 6 from 3, 33%. So there it was. 2 of 6 from 3, 33%. I can live with that from Draymond. I think he's got to do that. And he had 17 points, so 2 of his 6 shots from the field were from 3. I like that. If Draymond Green gives you 17 every night, and then Klay Thompson comes back and is a shell of himself, is half of himself, gives you 3/4 of his season scoring average, they win that game probably. I don't know what his scoring average is, 21, 25 maybe, 23, something like that. If he gives you a 16, they win. If he gives you 15, they win. What's 123 minus 109? 13 would be 10. Yeah, if he gives you 14, it's a tie game. So I don't know. Going forward, with him coming back in Game 4, it was reported that Durant is not coming back for Game 4. I mean, I don't think the Warriors have a ton to worry about. So now both teams have stolen a game on the road. So it'll more than likely going into Game 5, it'll be even. It'll be 2-2. And then you see what happens from there. It's 1-1-1. I think the Raptors probably win, or I think the Warriors probably win that Game 5 on the road, and then maybe the Raptors win and then it's probably in 6. I think it's probably what I predicted initially. The Raptors win Game 4 at home. They go on the road and win a tough Game 5, and then they come back and close it at home. Yeah. Wait, would it be over then? If they win Game 4, they'd have 2. And okay, yeah. So 6. Yeah, my pick. I'm sticking with my pick. I want to go back to the NBA homepage. I feel like there was a couple other around the NBA things that I wanted to talk about. Thoughts on sitting Klay, Nets trade. Don't care about that. Nothing else. Okay, I think that's about all I got for the I Can Do Anything podcast today, folks. I really appreciate you listening, and I want you to check out a really cool Whole Foods supplement company called Standard Process. Since 1929, Standard Process has been dedicated to the field of nutritional supplements and the whole food philosophy introduced by Dr. Royal Lee. With Standard Process supplements, you will discover just how resilient your body can be when given the proper nutrition. Standard Process supplements contain time-tested formulas with whole food ingredients that provide safe, effective, high-quality nutritional support available through healthcare professionals. Our products promote a better quality of life for our customers. So my uncle owns his own chiropractic practice and is a supplier of Standard Process supplements. And throughout my life, they've worked miracles after many different physical setbacks. I've sustained fractures, concussions, had infections, and many more. And each time My uncle gives me different supplements to treat problems. I've taken a whole range of supplements the Standard Process offers, like Adrenal Complex, Biost, Ostrophin, SP Cleanse, Thymex, and I'm currently, although not as frequently, taking inositol and Catalin. I've also taken AF beta food, myotrophin, RNA, or ribonucleic acid. I mean, there's a whole. That's exactly what I said. It's a bunch of food packed into a pill that you would never eat in the quantities that you never really could eat. So whether you're an athlete or a regular Jane Doe, Standard Process Standard Process supplements have what you need. I was actually just listening a couple days ago to Joe Rogan's podcast with Colin O'Brady, a guy that walked across. This is funny. When they showed the map of him walking across Antarctica, so he walked across Antarctica solo, and he's carried a sled with all his, or he dragged a sled, I guess, with all his supplies. And they showed the map of him walking across it, and he really didn't walk across that shit. Like, he kind of did the short way. Like, there was a lot of land I don't know. It's still obviously an incredibly impressive accomplishment, but that he didn't walk across Antarctica. He just walked across like the short portion of it. I don't know, but Standard Process made him all of his food. He had like these frozen like bars, basically, all designed for his body and his nutritional preferences, I guess. Designed to be lightweight and, just be easy to eat while he's walking or whatever. So that was kind of cool to see Standard Process, a company that I don't really hear much from, mentioned on the Joe Rogan podcast. So that's all I got. Thanks for listening to the I Can Do Anything podcast. Have a great night. Game 4 is on Friday night, and I'll probably come at you with another episode on either Saturday or Monday. Peace.